This is what we've been waiting for, is to get this opportunity to play for this state championship. And now we're here. But he's had a couple big runs this season for us. But it was a great job at the point of attack of our offensive line.
Franchini, play fake, looking, going deep. Tyson's open. Pitch and catch. Touchdown.
Right now, it's whatever it takes.
This is the Chuck Smith Show on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. Now, here's Coach Smith and your host, Nick Kosko.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. I'm your host, Nick Kosko. With me, as he will be every week during the season, is Mainland Regional Head Coach Chuck Smith. Coach, appreciate your time on this Tuesday night. Guys coming off a 30-18 win over Atlantic City, a crosstown rival at Battle at the Beach just last week. Started off the season 1-0. You guys are the defending Group 4 state champions, and we'll get into this. You guys are now Group 3 this year based on the new enrollment numbers, but nonetheless, a great way to start the season, and that is now a 15-game winning streak, if my math serves correctly, dating back to last year. Just give me a little bit of the reaction from last week, finally getting the season underway, and again, just open up with another big win. Yeah,
thanks, Nick. The first game of the season is always the one you anticipate because it's the one you're most prepared for. From the time you hit the field running in June all through July, August, you're focused on that very first game of the season. So it means a lot. And everybody has high expectations. All teams have high expectations and hopes leading into the brand new season. And it's always great to get off to a W week one. And it was a tough game. I mean, Atlantic City had a lot of time to prepare for us also and did a tremendous job with their defensive game plan. And we knew we were going to have our hands tied with the talent that they have on offense at quarterback and at receiver and the speed that their team possesses overall. And it was a great ball game. The score isn't really indicative of really the game itself. It was we didn't score another touchdown until late in the game to really put it away and put that margin there. But it was really a back and forth, a really good high school football game with not a lot of mistakes, which you seldom see in the first game of the season. Usually you see a lot of penalties, a lot of offsides, things of that nature, fumbles, turnovers, and things like that. I think there was only maybe 2 or 3 turnovers total in the game, just a couple of penalties here and there, a couple costly ones on their part. But I thought it was a really good game for the first game of the season. And Atlantic City, gave us our hands full. And, that game could have gone either way, really.
Yeah, when I was checking into it during the first half last week, it was going back and forth. There was a big defensive affair. There weren't too many explosive plays until later on, a little back and forth. You guys had a big goal line stand right before halftime as well. I know you guys graduated a lot of seniors, and we talked about this in the summer. You guys brought a lot of talent back, and you expect to have a very talented team once again here in 2024, but lost a lot of key guys. You were incorporating new guys, and we'll get into that in a second. Was there a feeling out period early on in that game, especially in the first quarter, going against an experienced team like Atlantic City, especially with the dynamic approach they bring from their offense? And what was that like early on in that game where, the scoring plays and the explosiveness really didn't happen until later on in the game? Yeah,
I think a lot of it on our part really was, we had guys who have had experience, but really they weren't the guy yet, They might have been like a backup last year, but played in some meaningful minutes. But this year, they're the person, and a lot of them are playing on both sides of the football. So I think it took a little bit. You had that adrenaline rush in the beginning. Then you kind of come down from that, and then you got to kind of settle into the game. And I think speaking of our team, I think it took us a little bit to kind of get comfortable with what was going on. Even though it was a windy day over there on the beach, it was still a hot day on the turf. And I think it just took us a little bit to kind of get it going and feel it out. And the same thing with Atlantic City, Atlantic City, it really was a great football game. Every time I thought we were getting a leg up, they answered the call, and then we would answer. So it was really, both teams really were resilient and coming back and forth, But I think overall by the end of it, now our guys have a real taste of what it's going to take to be a true 48-minute guy on the football field. Playing on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, maybe some of them even on some special teams altogether. And I think now they have a taste of it. They know what they have to do to better prepare themselves for the next game.
when you're looking at some of the guys that were stepping up. I know a guy like John Franchini, he's been now a third-year starter in your program. He was really delivering the football. It seemed like this is the best he's thrown the football, at least based on what I saw from afar. He was hooking up with Jake Blum. That was one of his big targets. Andrew Gilman was getting involved as well. When you look at the transition from last year, I'll stick to the passing game first. I know you guys are still a run-first oriented team, but the passing game this year, when you go from last year where you have John Franchini to Jamie Tyson, who's a Division I player playing and now playing corner over at Villanova. When you go from that to guys like Jake Blum, guys like Andrew Gilman, where now it's more of, you're going to spread it out a little bit. You throw it to the running backs like Rocco DiBiase or even his younger brother Lucas. Him being able to spread the ball out like he did on Thursday. Did you guys anticipate the passing game to be something like that, or were you a little bit more surprised where, wow, it was really efficient, even especially for the first game?
Yeah, I think going into this season and having the benefit of a 3-year starter quarterback and only being a junior, really, we knew we had to evolve the offense to a degree. You win by running the football at high school football, especially late in the season. Yeah, we are a run-first football team, but we knew we needed to evolve our passing game, get a little bit more of that into the flow, into the mix earlier than later. Not necessarily when you need to do it, just making it part of our overall offensive repertoire. And John does a great job of reading coverages. He knows everybody's patterns and the concepts that are involved in the passing game. And he really did a nice job. I think probably off the top of my head, I think it's probably the most yards he's ever passed for in a game, because he was right around 200 in the game. I think 195, I think he finished with. And he just did a nice job distributing the ball. There was several guys who caught passes the other day. It wasn't just one person like we kind of have been in the past. We really were focused on our split end game or maybe a halfback here or there, but he really spread the ball around to our halfbacks, our split ends, and also, our tight end in the offense. And I think for us to be successful this year on the offensive side of the football, we need to continue developing our passing game.
When you look at the running backs this year, again, you had multitude of guys last year. Same thing this year. Rocco DiBiase is the lead guy. His younger brother Lucas. I was watching that first half. It seemed like he had his breakout game, and he got a lot more varsity time just right there in that first half. And all of a sudden, he was making a lot of plays. I know Rocco ended up stealing the game late, but he had a big first half. Chase Hogue had a huge touchdown in that game as well. Just talk about the complement of backs that you have behind Rocco. Rocco leading the way, but just the transition from last year where you had superstars like Cohen Cook, and now you go to this year, and of course in the past Jabril Mace. But then it's like a revolving door of elite backs in your guys' system.
Yeah, we work hard at it, and we're lucky to have some really good athletes back there, and we do have a little bit of depth back there that we can rotate guys around. Rocco could be in the backfield, and then he can move over to our halfback spot as a wing. And all the guys can interchange back there. We really focus on the guys being able to play multiple positions in our backfield, because we use 3 running backs all the time, and we have really a running back by committee of like 5 guys. And Lucas really played a great game for his first game as a varsity starter, being a sophomore. And, the old adage, I know going way back to when I first started coaching years and years ago, was every sophomore that starts is usually a loss on your overall record, when you have all these sophomores playing. And usually when you have a sophomore playing, you kind of concentrate on that person playing one side of the ball. But Lucas is such a good athlete. We have him playing on both sides. He started a corner for us and played a good game against a very talented, skilled team in Atlantic City, and had some really big plays for us on offense. And he got better. The thing I was most impressed, everybody sees the catches and the runs after the catch, but the thing that I was most proud of being his coach was his blocking. As the game progressed, he became more physical as a blocker during the game. And that's when we really were starting to run the football and control the line of scrimmage. And a lot of that was due to Lucas and his effort blocking. So, but our running backs are very good. Chase has really been a linebacker for us, but we need a little more depth in the backfield, or have the flexibility to move Rocco around to the halfback spot, not just in the backfield. Jake, tremendous athlete also. Jake plays wing for us, and he also plays split end for us, so we can move him around. Jake, Rocco, Chase, Lucas, and even Khalid Foster, our other split end, they all play on both sides of the football. So it's important for us also to be able to rest them, and we're trying to keep our guys on defense and rest them, kind of be smart with how we do our rotations on offense. And we're still learning. Believe me, it's going to take a few games till we can really get it down.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if if I didn't mention your offensive line, which was one of the best, if not the best in the state last year, and the way they were moving guys around at certain points on Thursday. It seems like they haven't really missed a beat, despite some guys moving on and some injuries for you guys early on in the year. So when you look at what your defense did, so I was very curious at how you guys would handle the combination of Peaky Roseboro at quarterback, who he made that switch to that position. He was a very dynamic player on Thursday. Yeah. Can really throw the football, can run around as well. I know he was finding spaces in the open parts of the field. And, of course, Sinai DeGraffenwright, right, one of the top players in South Jersey, going to Rutgers next year. Just covering a guy like that, what was the game plan around him? I can only imagine, because Atlantic City has so many different athletes and so many ways to beat you. You couldn't focus all your attention on the guy who's going to go play Division I next year.
Yeah, they're dangerous. Our defensive game plan really was to try to disguise some coverages and do multiple things in the secondary, and with what we're doing with our blitzes and so forth, to put some pressure on the quarterback. But the quarterback, a great athlete, and we knew going into the game we were really going to have to be concerned with him just tucking and going, because we saw him in the scrimmage, and the kids know each other, from playing ball all the time since they've been little kids. And he had some big runs against us. He's just that elusive, and there were times that we had players in the spot to make plays, but he was just a better athlete than we were. And of course, Ice Cup was just he's a tremendous ball player. That's why he's going to Rutgers. And I thought overall we did a good job in our coverage against him, but he's too good, and we knew he would make plays, and we kind of alluded to that with our team, that he's going to make some plays here and there. We just can't let him have a lot of plays. And he still made some big catches in the end zone. I think he had 2 touchdown catches where, he just goes up, and I think he threw the ball within 10 feet of the guy, and he's going to catch it. But overall, I thought our defense played a really good game. That's a tough team to go against offensively. I thought we had some guys who were, again, playing for the first time as the guy, and it took a little bit for them to get their wheels on the ground. But I was impressed with the overall performance of all of them. We had some guys playing. We had some guys playing spots because of an injury in the secondary. And, and our defensive line kept pressure. I think they wound up with 3 sacks overall, with Dan DeFeo and Ethan Schock and Matt Mewitz and TJ McBall, who came in and played tremendous at nose guard for us at times. But I thought overall, our defense played well. It's tough to play those spread teams when they have multiple athletes, and that's one team we're going to play this year, and there's several more down the road on our schedule that are going to be just like that, if not more dangerous.
You'll see some teams like that later in the schedule, but the one you're facing this week, as you had a very close game with them last year, Hammonton comes to Linwood this Friday at 6 o'clock. Of course, we'll have the game on Cape Atlantic Live. Please, you're with us here on the Chuck Smith Show as well. When you look at what Hammonton brings to the table, they had a tough loss to open up the season to Oakcrest, 20-0, but they do have, they have big boys up front. They have big boys on the defensive line as well. They have a really good running back in DeAndre Clemens, who seems like he's a do-it-all type of athlete. Mm-hmm. It seems like their offense is going to run through him when you talk about the totality of what they want to do. What have you noticed on the tape so far from Hammonton? Have they really changed much since last year? And again, you guys last year, you dominated pretty much everybody on the schedule except the Blue Devils. It was a 14-7 game, your closest game all year. Have they changed a lot from last year?
Yeah, they're different. They don't have the same quarterback and running back. But the Clemens kid is very good. He's just, if not better, same as what they had last year with the Smith kid. They're a little bit different offensively. They have a new offensive coordinator out there. But it's Hammonton. That's what we try to tell the kids. And kids know Hammonton from the youth leagues and the Hammonton Hawks playing. And there's, when you go against a program like Hammonton, there's tradition there, and the type of kid that's going to play for Hammonton football, tough blue-collar type of kid. And no matter what, I look at all the years I've been coaching in Mainland against Hammonton, there's been very few lopsided scores. And most of the games are battles, one-score games all the time, no matter what the record is or who's who that season. They present a lot of problems also. They have a big line offensively and defensively. Some big boys up there, the running back, the Clemens kid, also number 2, is a tough runner also. The hard thing is, and what we're preparing our team for is, they start off the season with a loss. Nobody wants to start 0-2, and we know they're going to come out and we're going to see the best Hammonton football team on Friday night. We know that without a doubt. And our kids will be prepared for it, because we know the type of team and program Hammonton traditionally is. And we know they're coming out with something to prove, not only just because we've had their number the last couple of seasons, but they don't want to start 0-2. We know that, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we come out with the W on Friday night.
One of the other guys they have on their roster, Anthony Linikovic. He's a big boy offensively and defensively. I think he committed to Princeton.
He's a big kid. He's a force on offense and on the defensive line. They have a lot of big kids, big strong boys up there, and we'll have our hands full up there. We have to play our best game on Friday night.
So looking ahead down the line now, I know it's all about the next game in front of you. You're not really going to talk playoffs at this point, especially coming off. I know you were sick of talking about last year's state championship at a certain point. But you guys, for those who don't know, you guys are down to South Jersey Group 3 this year based on the enrollment numbers. And you're going to see some familiar teams, Cape Atlantic-wise, in that playoff group, such as Oakcrest, Cedar Creek, a perennial team in Group 3. Apsagami's there. Ocean City is now down with you guys as well. Hammonton's still a Group 4 school. Millville's still a Group 4 school. But the new enrollment, I found it very interesting when I did find out that you guys are down an enrollment group this year. Does that change anything for you in terms of what you're looking at in the schedule in the future, how it's going to affect you this year, or is it just simply it's a different playoff group this year at a certain point?
To me, it's just a different playoff group, Can't worry about anything in the future because we don't control. We're in this 2-year cycle right now, year one of the 2-year cycle. You know how tough Group 4 is, having been in it for a long time in Group 4, and a lot of great programs. But then everybody thinks you go down a group, it might be easier, but it's not.
Yeah,
there's a lot of quality programs. You look at Group 3, you have the Delcy's in there, who's a state champion last year,
and on the schedule at the end of the year too.
Yeah, you got Cedar Creek, who's traditionally a very strong program, also, and several other teams in there. It's funny when you're in Group 4. You don't pay as much attention to the other groups. You pay attention to your group when you're in it. So kind of for us, it's kind of new territory too, but it's something that we really won't be looking at till much later in the season when, you get closer to the playoffs and you have maybe your game 6 or game 7 and you're starting to think about where the seedings might line up and what you got to do and stuff like that. But it's it is what it is. You just play the hand that's dealt to you,
As far as the home opener on a Friday, any special plans for the Mainland fans, alum? Any big announcements coming up for you?
Yeah, we got
debuting a lot on Friday.
Yeah, we got a couple things for Friday night. I mean, I always think Friday night at the Mustang Corral is the best high school atmosphere in the world. Of course, I'm biased with that one, but we have a brand new video scoreboard that our booster club went out and got the funds for. Not one dime is coming from the school on this project. It's probably well in excess of $140,000. It's a giant video scoreboard that's replacing our old scoreboard. It has a lot of bells and whistles to it. I think it's going to help enhance the overall atmosphere on Friday nights at the Mustang Corral and other events that we'll have at Mainland also. I think the video board is going to be a neat addition to it where we could have the broadcast streaming up there on there also while the game's going on live on the field. We can highlight seniors from football, cheer, band, special announcements, school schedules, all kinds of things. I think it's going to be a really fun thing for the crowd. And also this Friday night, we're having our youth football night. Yeah. So we're going to be celebrating the youth programs from Linwood, Northfield, and Summers Point. It's always a fun night. And I think our kids really enjoy it in the program because to the little kids, these guys are like the pro football players.
Yeah.
And they know them kind of from growing up, but now they're the guys on the big field. And it's always fun. And it's a really an electric atmosphere when the kids come and they watch our pregame routine and they know somebody and they're yelling out the kid's name, like, hey, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. And they want them to wave to him. And when he waves, it's like, you just, shook hands with Tom Brady or something like that, And then they kind of line the walkway for us to come out, and they always want to fist pump the kids and stuff like that, So it's a lot of fun. So Friday night's going to be a big night, with the debut of the video scoreboard, youth football night, and then, of course playing Hammonton in our home opener. it's the first night we get to see the return of our Corral Crazies, our fan base, which we're looking forward to seeing.
The fan base is going to be out and loud. I can tell you that coming up this Friday, of course, celebrate the last year's state championship. I'm sure that's going to be on the back fence with all the other banners, of course, the new scoreboard. And again, Youth Night is electric. And I'll tell you what, if John Franchini is playing like Tom Brady, I think you guys are going to be in good against the Blue Devils on Friday.
Unfair comparison, but
Hammonton comes to town to play Mainland. We'll have all the coverage on Cape Atlantic Live. Watch the game live there on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. On Cape Atlantic Live. Of course, that game starts at 6 o'clock. Again, coverage on YouTube. Coach, appreciate the time. We will see you on Friday. Of course, talk next week. And excited to be back here in 2024.
Yeah, me too. Thanks a lot, Nick. And thanks to Matt also for everything you guys do.
No doubt. Cape Atlantic Live presents the Chuck Smith Show right here. You can always find all the episodes on YouTube, any past episodes as well. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, saying so long. We'll see you next week on the Chuck Smith Show.